Hello and welcome to the podcast that asks the simple question, when you decided the world really needed Braddock Missing in Action 3, what the hell were you thinking? This is the Saturday, May 9th, 2015 edition of the show when we, President Obama and the rest of the federal government, start messing with Texas. Stay tuned. The What the Hell Were You Thinking podcast is brought to you this week by Lim's Automatic Weapon Mart and Christian Bookstore. Lim's, where every purchase of the King James Edition, the only real Bible, comes with a complimentary box of Teflon Tip 223 body armor piercers. Lim's, in God we trust, all others pay cash. If you would like to sponsor the show, head on down to Lim's and find somebody to pray for you, because you really need all the help you can get.
If you can remember back, Ruby Ridge, Waco, Texas, Oklahoma City, 9/11, the Bundy Ranch. These are all special op operations. And better yet, can you remember the special op operations where they entered into the schools with military and scared the hell out of the children? Or when they flew across Florida with their helicopters and scared the hell out of the people there. I got one thing to say. There is a written law, which they've overwritten, that the military has no business training here in this country. The military so damn bored with themselves. Now they're going to use their own land to scare the hell out of the civilians. We've got UN vehicles, we've got military troops moving, we've got talking about dropping in on these zones. We're pinpointing them as hostile, neutral. What kind of shit is this, okay? Let me tell you something. Let me tell you real clear. This old Marine ain't buying none of this shit. When I came home from Vietnam, the war I prayed was behind me, okay?
Deep in the heart of Texas, there are some shit going on that should frighten you. Cowboy hats are worn in a non-ironic fashion. High school football matters to people over the age of 16, and apparently the Obama administration is preparing concentration camps where they will place good, God-fearing Texans for the simple crime of wearing cowboy hats and caring about high school football. Are you terrified yet?
I'm not afraid.
You will be. You will be.
Seriously. Well, seriously might be a strong word, but not metaphorically. This is freaking some people out. There are Republicans soiling their knickers over a training exercise for the military called Jade Helm 15. And I have to ask, is the DoD just lifting exercise right off the treasure tables in the Dungeon Master's Guide? Because that's what it sounds like. Jade Helm takes place later this summer in Texas and several other states, primarily for special forces like Green Berets and Navy SEALs. Now, the Pentagon would like you to believe that they chose Texas for its climate and terrain because it's so similar to the areas of the world where special forces would realistically be deployed. But you and I, my friends, we all know the truth. It's because Texas and the surrounding states is the part of America where the people are as well armed, politically conservative, and fundamentally religious as every place that ISIS actually holds right now. The pieces are fitting together, people. This particular conspiracy theory, as framed by frantic pants-wetters and publicized by noted political thinker and psychedelic sock monkey Alex Jones of InfoWars, goes thusly. Jade Helm is the first step in a military takeover of the United States, using, and this is so American it just has to be true, shuttered Walmarts as bases of operations and processing centers. I imagine that all that will be required to get the citizens to assemble at said Walmarts is a simple ruse like Black Friday in July, and they'll trample each other just to get inside. Then special operations can just pluck... I'm sorry, I can't believe I wrote this. Special operations can pluck thought leaders from the crowd and segregate them and then systematically disarm the public, which in Texas, based on the sheer number of firearms, should be wrapped up sometime around the turn of the next century. Now, generally, Alex Jones is entertainingly derpy, and his nonsense targets that sliver of the stupid that enjoys the shadowy notoriety that pays so well in conspiracy theory circles. But this time, that sliver of stupid contains some fairly notable names, some of whom actually appear on road signs welcoming you to the state of Texas. That's right, Greg Abbott, the governor of Texas, and the first person to ever make Rick Perry seem, kind of smart, had seen the crudely based, badly misspelled writing on the wall, and he's taking action, folks. He will use the Texas State Guards. Wait, back up just a second. Wait, who? No, that's not the Texas National Guard, but State Guard? The Texas State Guard. A group of crack military men so capable and well-honed, they apparently couldn't make it into the National Guard. And as a veteran who served with National Guard troops, those guys, particularly from the southern states, are not exactly what I would call elite. But anyway, the Texas State Guard will monitor the Navy SEALs and the Green Berets for any signs of coup-like activity. When the sitting governor of a state, the second most populous state in the Union, is actively concerned that the federal government will use the military to occupy his state by force, there's just gotta be something going on, right? Or the man's a complete fucking moron. Take your pick. It could be either or. But wait, there's more. Governor Abbott is not alone in his fears. Congressman and human bobblehead doll Louis Gromert issued a statement in which he shared the concerns of his constituency over the impending Obama war. And I quote, "Certainly, I can understand these concerns. When the leaders within the current administration believe that major threats to the country include those who support the constitutions, are military veterans, or even cling to guns or religion, patriotic Americans have reason to be concerned. We've seen people working in this administration use their government positions to persecute people with conservative beliefs in God, country, and notions such as honor and self-reliance. Because of the contempt and antipathy for the true patriots or even Christian saints persecuted for their Christian beliefs, it is no surprise that those who have experienced or noticed such persecution are legitimately suspicious." End quote. He gets it. And he entreated the aforementioned Texas State Guard to keep a tight watch over the highly trained special forces who are battle-hardened by years of war in the Middle East. Well, I can only imagine that the Texas State Guard are battle-hardened by years of getting into fistfights in the parking lot of Gilly's Tavern outside of Nacogdoches. God damn it, why did I pick Nacogdoches? Fine, fuck it, just some little town in Texas. Not to be left out of the lucrative simpleton demographic, human stoat Ted Cruz, a United States senator from Texas, sent a letter to the Pentagon asking if the U.S. military was about to commence the occupation of the sovereign nation of Texas by Obama's jackbooted American hero thugs. Ted, do you think they would tell you if you were? I mean, I just gotta know. Do you think that, oh yes, you've got it, Senator Cruz. We completely were planning to occupy Texas. Now, all of this would usually just be a sad little political grandstanding by desperate or desperately dumb men placating the mouth-breathing base that constitutes such a large swath of the Texas GOP. But this week, I learned that none other than 80s third-tier action star and internet meme Chuck Norris has also issued a warning about Jade Helm.
All I have to do, as you're probably aware, all I have to do is pull this Walker Texas Ranger lever right here, and immediately we get clips, and it's been a great thing. We've been having a good time, and let's do this thing right now.
That's right, friends. Walker Texas Ranger has come out strongly against Obama messing with Texas. And he thinks that the president might just be starting the implementation of Sharia law in the United States. And when someone is as scary as Chuck motherfucking Norris talks, very stupid people listen. So here we are. at the point where dumb and ass collide in a maelstrom of stupid, threatening to cause giggle fits all over the country. And giggle fits are pretty much the whole reaction. No one is taking this very real threat to our national security, much to the chagrin of the sort of people who like to get chagrined over things like this. Many of us, indeed the lamestream media, are having a hearty chortle at the expense of Texas. And as I understand, Austin is actually pretending they are part of Oklahoma for the rest of the month. Think about how bad things need to get for Austin to want to be a part of Oklahoma. What boggles my mind, however, is the sheer number of contradictory thoughts that need to be contained in the fevered imaginations of the terrified conspiracy theorists. The U.S. government is both incredibly inept, bloated, and incapable of functioning on even a most elementary level, yet is also about to launch a fiendishly complex plan to overthrow itself and imprison millions of its citizens. The United States military is simultaneously the paragon that is all that is good and true in our society, and a bunch of Gestapo just seconds away from becoming concentration camp guards. President Obama is at once the soft, weak, pansy liberal and a violent despot, ready to order the incarceration of everyone who voted for a Republican. It's amazing how people can make themselves believe this when I can't even suspend my disbelief long enough to consider Kanye West basically exists at all. And as much as I'd like to and as much as I do like to bust on the deserving parties on the right wing, they're not alone in their paranoid delusions. 9/11 truthers. It's funny, peculiar, not funny, ha-ha, how the fringe of American politics, or even the fuzzy edges, are convinced the federal government will be trundling down Interstate 10 with Abrams tanks, flying the UN flag to put them all in camps where they will be forced to gay marry by an Islamic cleric while receiving mandatory abortions from feminist doctors. Their panic over imagined fears is washing out any of the real things they might actually be legitimately worried about. And there are things. The government is doing all sorts of things more commonly associated with the tyrannical boogeyman the conspiracy theorists fear, but this doesn't seem to bother them. The point that the NSA is able to monitor their every bowel movement and nighttime erection is no big deal. The expansion of border zones where you can be stopped and searched without a warrant hundreds of miles from the actual, border, nothing to worry about. Local police departments have enough surplus military equipment to fight the Battle of Bastogne, and Officer Friendly is now a body-armored, machine gun-wielding officer. Fuck you. And the local cops clearly have no problems actually using that military equipment on the civilian population. But hey, this is fine with the good God-fearing Republican people of real America. Apparently the problem with living in a police state is the uniform of the people who are doing the policing. But, draw a red line around Texas and drop 50 more troops into a state that already has 124,000 active duty U.S. military stationed there, and they start shitting kittens. It's the second Civil War! Seriously, Texas, if we wanted, we could take you with what we already have there. We don't need any special forces. We could open up the gates of Fort Hood, and Dallas would be in flames by late the next evening, no matter what the Texas State Guard thinks on the issue. It took us 4 years in the 1860s. The current U.S. Army could knock you guys out in about 4 days. The only reason we're talking about this is how far the right wing will go to placate their base. Insane rantings exist on the internet because that's why we have an internet. Alex Jones's entire raison d'etre is to give a voice to the lunatic fringe and sell them survival supplies, because that's how capitalism works. In any rational world, the governor of Texas would have smiled, nodded, and moved on to his next talking point when some spittle-flecked hysteric began squawking about Obama's plan to occupy Garland, Texas. Instead, he and members of the actual federal legislature took the chance to fan the fires of idiocy and score points with the weakest members of their constituency. It's the moral equivalent of setting up a polling place in an insane asylum, or, basically the Iowa straw polls. When the 9/11 truthers started going on about drones and demolition charges during the Bush administrations, we Democrats didn't appoint them to the head of the 9/11 Commission. We gave them some hash brownies and coloring books so we sane people could get back to work. Meanwhile, I guess down in Texas, the good old boys are busy loading up their pickup trucks with rifles and ammunition and very large coolers of beer, and driving out into the night to listen for the sounds of tank treads on asphalt. Men and boys with only their cowboy hats, faith in God, and an absurd level of interest for children playing with inflated rubber pig bladders keep the fires of freedom burning in Texas. Basically, I guess it's the same as every other night, though they're probably drinking more than usual. That's it for the show this week. Thanks for listening. We're kind of moving our production schedule around a bit, so the show will probably be dropping on Saturday nights instead of Friday. And if there is a local edition, that will probably hit around midweek. Tonight, our show music, as always, is from the band Hypnostate. You should look for their work on Jamindo.com. They got a lot of great stuff. We're featuring drops tonight from the old Marine one. You can, and oh my God, you should find him on YouTube. He's very entertaining and looks exactly how you were imagining he might look. Conan O'Brien, thank you for the Walker Texas Ranger lever. You stand always in our deep admiration. And we close out tonight with is it the national anthem? Whatever. The Texas Chamber of Commerce gives you deep in the heart of Texas, where things are very strange indeed. See you next week.